So I'm sitting here with Andrew. He's a fan of the Bears, and of course,
Bears.
I am a Vikings fan. So the Minnesota Vikings will take on the Chicago Bears this Sunday on November 24th. So Andrew, how do you feel about being a Chicago Bears fan in a state where the Vikings country?
Well, it feels good, Drew, because everybody from Chicago is obviously superior to everybody in Minnesota. So just it feels good, Drew. No, it's there's a lot of Chicago Bears fans here. You go to the Wildwood down the street, and they have the Bears games on. And usually, the Bears feel like they're going to be better than the Vikings. Obviously, it didn't work out that way this year. But,
yeah. Well, and they say that the Vikings have struggled in Chicago, which games can be played at. But I think last 2 years we beat you in Chicago.
Yeah. You know, it's always tough to be a Chicago fan because you build up the hype, and they got the money to spend, and somehow they always end up being terrible. So it's been a while since the Chicago team's been good, not just the Bears.
All right, and then the quarterback. So, like, for the Vikings, you know, Sam, he was just, I mean, everybody was expecting the worst from him, but then he's proven everybody wrong. Like, oh, he's going to be nothing, and then all of a sudden here he is, you know, and he's performing in like 5 games in a row. And now he's starting to slow it down a little bit, but I still think he's still holding strong. How do you feel about your quarterback?
Caleb, he's kind of hot and cold. So, like last week, he threw 26 of 31, I believe it was, for 260 yards, but no touchdowns. So they haven't had a single throwing touchdown in 4 weeks. And if he does that again next week, that'll be the most in Bears history. 5 games in a row without a throwing touchdown.
Eesh.
So, but he does look quite a bit better than throwing, at least, than pretty much any Bears quarterback of my lifetime.
But so you think is it because he has little to no weapons, or
no? He's got plenty of weapons. The biggest problem up until this point has been coaching, offensive coordinator. Also, the fact that he's a rookie, and I think culture and the Chicago team is always a big issue. So yeah, they got a new offensive coordinator starting against the Packers last week when they played good. Seems like they're getting the offense back on track. And hopefully this week we can get some touchdowns going against the Vikings and kick some butt.
Yeah, so also coaching.
Hold on. First, I want to ask you about Sam Darnold.
Yes, good.
So Sam Darnold, he started off really hot, like you said.
Yep, he sure did.
And then he's kind of slowly been getting more and more average. I wouldn't say he's playing bad, but he's been more and more average. Do you think next year they're going to keep with Sam Darnold, or are they going to go back to J.J. McCarthy or pick up somebody else?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, some people like you guys, the Bears, you know, went straight away with the rookie right away. But people like the Vikings have been known to have the, you know, veteran quarterback for a couple of years, whatever, and then the guy learned behind him, and then whatever. But then again, who knows about J.J. McCarthy because he's injured but he's younger than Sam Darnold. But ultimately, I think that he will. You know, I mean, he's he found himself and then he kind of lost himself. But I think he'll find himself again. I'll leave.
So you think if they make the playoffs, which it looks like they're obviously going to make playoffs this year, you think that they're going to take Sam Darnold if he continues to kind of struggle a little bit towards the end of the season, but they still make the playoffs? Do you think they're going to keep Sam Darnold going into next year?
Yeah, I think because JJ McCarthy, they're going to give him a shot too, but I think that with his with his injury, whatever with rehab, and he's gonna bounce back because he's young.
Right.
And I don't know, but I think he's been on the sideline, probably reading the playbook. If I don't know how he learns. With every quarterback, learns differently. Maybe just learning on the sideline, might be good for JJ McCarthy to be all right. You know what? Oh, preseason comes and then he shows himself more and hopefully doesn't get hurt again.
Learn how things go and learn the playbook and everything. Sure.
But I think they'll probably keep Sam for maybe one more year. Just until they get comfortable with the idea of JJ.
Yeah.
Personally, or maybe they might just go wild and say, okay, JJ, you're healthy, 100%. It's a whole new year, whole new season. Go in.
I guess I think maybe they'll keep. I mean, it's hard to sit Darnold when you're winning games, so I think they'll probably keep playing Darnold until he doesn't play well. And then maybe I'll have like a bad stretch or something next season, like a 3-game stretch where they don't play well, and then they'll give JJ McCarthy a chance, and that'll kind of be his opportunity.
Yeah, but JJ McCarthy's got to be 100% or cleared by doctors, for sure. First of all.
Okay.
But I think,
sure, he should be ready to go by next season. I
think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Coaching. How do you feel about? Because we just got rid of offensive coordinator, or whatever you said.
Shane Waldron. Yep. Yeah. It's been awful this year. Really
bad. Okay, I mean, this is like way back in the day and like different rules. But what if you had like a coach like Ditka again?
I mean, we'd probably be Super Bowl champions this year with Ditka, obviously. I mean, every year.
Everybody's got their own thing, because that our head coach, came from a Super Bowl team, and he was assistant coach at the time or whatever.
Right.
And he comes to the Vikings, and their team, the Rams, just won Super Bowl that year, and then in the following year, he becomes the Vikings head coach.
Right. So I heard rumors too that the offensive coordinator of Detroit they were talking to him this last offseason to come be the head coach of the Bears, but they kept Eberflus as our current head coach. And I think they regret that decision now because Eberflus is terrible. But anyway, I'm hoping in the offseason, if the season continues to go the way it's going now, that they fire Eberflus and somehow convince the offensive coordinator from Detroit to come be the head coach.
Well, I mean, obviously, to the Vikings, it was Bud Grant, and then you guys, Ditka. But more of nowadays, how do you feel about the coaching wise between Ditka to the other people now and their helpers?
You're drinking beer.
Yeah, I drink beers.
And that was Ashley.
Okay, what was the question again? Sorry.
Because ultimately, you go whatever. Like Ditka was to the Bears what Bud Grant was to the Vikings.
Sure.
But moving forward, is there any head coaching or assistant coaching or after the coaching that you wish you would have kept, or are you glad that you were rotating them?
I mean, it's hard for young quarterbacks to continue to get better if every year you got new head coaching and offensive coordinator. So they need to find somebody that fits the system that we have in Chicago and give them a chance to develop the quarterback and the offense the way that we want. Problem is right now is Eberflus comes from a defensive side of the ball, not an offensive side of the ball. So he was relying on our offensive coordinator to do that half of the game, right? I mean, Eberflus, Bears have a good defense for a reason.
Yeah. And the Vikings are really good this year too.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, basically we were relying on Shane Waldron to do most of the offensive play calling and also the coaching, the quarterback coaching and everything. And part of the problem is he came from a different setup in Seattle. So, just how many wide receivers we have out on the field, and just the play style that we're used to in Chicago is not where Waldron is.
Right. And then speaking of defense, they say defense. Well, in the past, win games, defense. They say have said defense win championships. How do you feel about that? When do you agree with that? Disagree with that? That defenses win championships, defense win games more than the offense, or it's supposed to be equal, 50-50.
Sure, I think a team with a moderately good offense, like a middle of the road offense, can win a championship with a great defense. And I think if you're a great offense, it's harder to win if you got a bad defense. So I think that still wins. You still win Super Bowls with great defenses. I think you have to have a top 10 defense to win a Super Bowl, in the way the league's set up right now. So, yeah. How do you feel about? I mean, everybody talks about how great the Vikings coach is, and how they win no matter who's. They seem to be able to win games even no matter who the quarterback is or what pieces they have that year. They did a lot of pieces changing the offense. How do you feel about their coaching?
Well, I mean, the coaching's good. I mean, that one year that we got the Vikings got screwed when we had Brett Favre with the whole thing about I had to bring this up, but like with the Saints, the Saints and the referee cheating, yes, it was one of our worst head coaches at the time, Childress, Brad Childress, because he was yelling at Favre every time he got silent because Brett Favre wasn't doing his plays.
Sure.
But ultimately, yeah, I mean, we've had some, like I said, yeah, I think that's the worst we've had, personally. But, I mean, like...
Who's the current head coach? I gotta forget his name. Do you remember?
What's his name? Anyways, I don't know this one, but, like, I'm trying to, I'm more cheering on, Justin Jefferson, and Addison and Harris and stuff like that. Harris, like that I don't like, but like,
yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime you got Justin Jefferson, he's probably top 3 wide receivers in the league.
I mean,
be able to win
right?
games.
I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, we don't do good. But I guess to a point, well, at least the NFL thought. I mean, it was good. Coach of the year, we had Denny Green, Coach of the year.
That's
Kevin O'Connell. Yeah,
Yep.
Kevin O'Connell. Yep.
So he's been doing, and
I think he's been doing good because not that there's no guarantee that he came off of the fresh Super Bowl team and stuff. And with the do. I mean, he wasn't a head coach, but I mean, I'm sure watching it, he had a little bit to do with it.
You can see like with the Bears, like the Packers, they got the ball. It's they're set up for a 46-yard field goal, which is well within the field goal range. They still had 35 seconds, one timeout, so they got time to get more yards and make it an easier field goal. And a normal head coach, right, you run the ball up the middle a few times, maybe get 3 or 4 more yards, and then you kick your field goal. Instead, they just opted to let the time run down to nothing and then go for the 46-yard field goal, and it gets blocked. So things like that, like game management stuff, they could have made the field goal a little easier and set them up to win that game. And then there was another game too. There's been several instances throughout the season where head coaching has kind of hurt the Bears as far as like a game management thing. So we could easily be. There was the Washington game where they threw the Hail Mary at the end of the game. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So that was. There's at least 2 games that we should have won.
Yeah.
That we just kind of let slip out of our hands, and it's on the players as well. But those are 2 winnable games that should have been in our win column. So we'd be looking at a different picture.
Yeah.
Now.
So speaking of that, this Sunday and the next time, so the week after this, you guys are playing in Thanksgiving against the Lions.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to be a harder challenge? The Vikings or the Lions, or do you think it'll be equal to challenges?
It's definitely going to be different because the Detroit's so hot right now too, offensively. I think that they're a little weaker on defense than the Vikings, so there could be some opportunities for the Bears to score a little bit more on Detroit. So I think this week's game with the Vikings is going to be a little more low scoring. Maybe a 20 to 24 or 28 to 24 kind of situation.
Or 24 to 14 maybe even.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's going to be a close game. It's going to come down to the last few drives of the game. Where I think with Detroit, it's prime time on a Thursday night. A lot of times people struggle in prime time a little bit more. So whoever shows up to play, I mean, if the Lions just start scoring touchdowns, we can get out of hand pretty quick. So we don't really. Go ahead.
So yeah, Vikings know about struggling quarterbacks. His Cousins, great quarterback.
Yeah.
He's consistent, always on, whatever. But yeah, up until there may be a couple games he played for us. We prime time, whatever, like the Monday or the Thursday, whatever, prime time games. He actually stepped up and we won those games.
Talking about that.
Yeah. Well, the last time he played because he played for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was always the joke, right? That he couldn't play.
Yeah, because especially the night games, he wasn't very good. But he did become at least 2 to 3 games overcome what they're saying about him.
Right. Okay. What do you think about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about again?
Well,
like the rest of the season. Yeah. How do you think? I mean, it sounds like the Vikings got a pretty cush rest of the season. Theoretically.
Yeah. So, after we play you guys in Chicago, we go home and we play Arizona. Then we go to Arizona. Then the following week is the Falcons. So Cousins is coming home to play us.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's with the
Atlanta looks pretty good this year too.
And then the third home game.
Well, you got to play the Bears one more time.
Yeah, so that's a Monday night game too.
Yeah, that's in
Minnesota.
In Minnesota, yeah.
So then after that, we play you so you're our last door game for a little bit, and then you're our last home game for a little bit, because after that we go we're home. Then we go on the road in Seattle and play in Seattle. Then we come home and host the Packers, and then our final game for us is on the road to Detroit.
Okay, so you got to play Detroit one more time.
Yeah,
so that's
last game of the season. Yes,
and obviously Green Bay is good this year. Pretty much, I'd say everybody in our division is good to a point. Chicago's struggling, obviously, but they got a ton of talent. They could beat anybody on any week. Like, they just show up to play. They got the new offensive coordinator. I think they can start putting it together. They simplified the offense. They're putting a lot of short plays, right? Short throws, screen plays, jet sweeps. So Caleb goes back with the ball, gets the ball out quickly. It's not holding on to the ball too long. A lot more. They're allowing him to kind of scramble a lot more too. He got 60 rushing yards last game.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point is they could beat anybody in any week, I think.
Right.
So it's not like it's going to be some pushover game.
Right. Well, like I say, any team that's got a solid offensive line, usually if you have a strong enough offensive line, that gives your quarterback fairly all day to figure who he wants to throw to, see who's open, and get the ball. I mean, of course you want to get the ball sooner, but you don't want to get out too soon.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm surprised we didn't think of talk about that, but the Bears have bottom 10 offensive line in the league this year, and that's besides coaching, that's probably been their weakness, and part of that's on Caleb Williams as well, because he holds onto the ball way too long, and they knew that when they drafted him that would be an issue. And actually, the last quarterback, Justin Fields, had the same problem, except for he could scramble. Justin Fields could scramble like a running back, so it wasn't quite a 1-to-1 thing, but. So that's one place where the Vikings are way ahead of the Bears is offensive line. So next year, that should be a team focus, is building that offensive line up.
Well, yeah, because you ultimately, I noticed this year it hasn't happened yet, but for the Vikings alone, I don't know if you know about the Bears, but for the Vikings alone, okay, so it's equal defense, offense, defense. Defense goes in, offense goes. It's complimenting each other. Back and forth. And there have been times where, somewhere in the season for the Vikings, it's like the offense goes there and says, "Oh, screw it, let the defense take care of it," and the defense goes there, "Screw it, let's let the offense take care of it." How do you do that? You see that in the Bears at all ever?
Yeah, this year it's been really heavy defense. So basically, the offense has been struggling. The defense has been holding the team up, which is, I think the last time we made the Super Bowl, it was with Cutler, I believe.
DJ Cutler, yeah.
And that was the same situation. The defense was kind of carrying the team. Special teams was carrying the team, right, with Devin Hester. So we're kind of in that same situation again now, and it shouldn't be that way because we have some of the most talented wide receivers in the league. Also, DeAndre Swift, who isn't very good running up the middle, but he is a very talented running back. It shouldn't be like that. So,
Well, yeah, and then like you said, Jay Cutler, he was at the time the quarterback that everybody wanted. Everybody, Vikings, Packers, everybody,
Right.
every NFL when wanted like he's gonna be the greatest of all time, blah blah blah, whatever.
Sure.
And then he comes into the league and he did good, but the first couple of years he kind of stuck up like then like everybody like got that bullet, But
yeah, and I feel like Chicago's kind of we've never had a quarterback throw over 4,000 yards. We're the only team in the NFL that has never had a quarterback throw over 4,000 yards in a season. So, and actually Caleb Williams, he's 170 yards away from breaking the Bears rookie record for most yards in a season. And we're only in week 12, so
Yep.
that can tell you how bad the Bears quarterback play has been over the last 100 years or whatever. So,
yeah, one question I wanted to ask, we have Justin Jefferson. You have to put three men on Justin Jefferson so he can't catch the ball. You put 2 men on him, he still catches the ball, still first down, still touchdown, whatever.
yep.
Do the Bears have ever had or currently have anybody that's good like that?
So our best wide receiver at the moment is DJ Moore. And we got Odunze, who's the rookie, who's also very talented. But I would put DJ Moore less in like the Justin Jefferson category and more of like a Deebo Samuel, like large, bulky, hard runner. So he's more set up for like screen passes, and then he just runs guys over. And whereas JJ's more like jump up and catch, one-handed catch type of situation, which DJ Moore can do as well, but he's better at running people over than he is in those kind of situations. So, no, I mean, it's been a long time since we had a wide receiver that can do stuff like that. There's been a few over the years, but if you don't have good quarterback play, you don't get
and they
guys
say
like that.
when they say, well, what makes a good quarterback or quarterback only as good as people he can throw to and stuff, and of course, we got lucky we had Brett Favre, and because people were at the time saying, well, why did you get Percy Harvin at the time? Why did you get this person? And Favre just throw the ball and he catches it. That's why. We can't all get that lucky to have Brett Favre on our team.
Sure.
But
I don't remember Brett Favre having necessarily like a real strong armor. I mean, he was kind of, or maybe I'm thinking of Tom Brady. But they threw the ball quickly, right?
Yeah.
It was like 1-2 throw, 1-2 throw,
right?
And I think it's changed a lot over the years. Like the quarterbacks now, you see a lot of like they're throwing 20 out of 23 throws, like they're completing 20 out of 23 throws or 18 of 20. So we're not throwing as much. A lot of teams aren't. They're completing more of their passes. A lot of short passes, like kind of the really long games, 60-yard touchdown passes. That doesn't happen as much as it used to.
Right.
So, although there's a few situations, like last week with the Bears, Christian Watson had 150 yards on 4 receptions last week. So it still happens, but teams aren't taking those kind of risks anymore. There's a lot of zone defenses now. They're taking away the long game and allowing them to get short yardage, and so it's like it's a little easier on the rookie quarterbacks that way too. They're making quick throws, screen passes. Anyway, so it's just the game's evolving, getting different kinds of offensive schemes to make it easier on younger quarterbacks.
Yeah. But also like I watched a Viking game and the certain pass or so many rushes for the league for the whole NFL they're that's year fourth in the league for most of this.
Yep.
or just for the Vikings themselves, that's fourth in the Vikings company thingy, whatever.
Sure.
How about the Bears? I mean, where is that? Where are the records that you guys setting records?
Probably mostly on defense, right? Yeah, it's kind of tough. The first 2 weeks I remember As far as records, it'd probably be dead last in rushing, and then they kind of opened. And DeAndre Swift was new to the team this year, and he really struggled the first 2 games I remember, and then he just exploded. So he's been doing good since then, DeAndre Swift. But offensively, like I said, it's mostly like because the rookies have been so terrible on the Bears quarterback wise. It's like he's going to break the most yards by a rookie quarterback on the Bears. If he breaks 4,000 this year, which I don't think he's on track to do that, but he'll be the only Bears quarterback to ever break 4,000 yards in a season. It might be 4,500 or something. Whatever the record is.
And they have him for Caleb as 2-year quarterback. 3 years?
Like his rookie contract's 4 years.
4 years. So yeah, you need at least. I think they nowadays you need at least 4 years, especially rookie quarterbacks.
Sure.
Because then they get you foot wet enough. Well, because quarterbacks, sometimes. Well, the great Eli Manning and the great Peyton Manning. I personally, if I remember right, they didn't become big superstars until like the 3rd year or so.
Right. And you look at their pass completed percentage in their careers, it's probably like 65 to 70%. That kind of goes to how the game's changed, right? A lot of these really good quarterbacks now, they're throwing 80%, 90% of their pass completions because they're not taking as many chances, whereas Peyton Manning used to just bomb it down the field, every few, sets of downs. So,
right.
And they so it's just, Peyton Manning had the record for the most interceptions by a rookie quarterback ever. Yeah. They had played terrible. They only won 3 games the whole season. So it's hard to judge off of a rookie season.
Right, and it takes time, like I said, them to, their dad, who played for the Vikings for a little bit and stuff like that. But I do feel sorry for, I do feel sorry for Eli, just the fact that, always compared to his dad, always compared to Peyton. It's he did all right for himself. But, anyway, and sometimes it's like back in the day of Vikings, Culpepper to Moss, it worked for a while because, we were able to watch his hand and pull a rabbit on the other hand.
Right.
But have Bears ever had that where it's just so-and-so to so-and-so?
Sure. So Justin Fields and DJ Moore in recent history, those guys really had good chemistry. And I was a big Justin Fields guy. I loved Justin Fields. I wish they didn't get rid of him necessarily, is my point of view, because you look at all the really good teams right now, and you think of like the way for a 6th-round pick is kind of sad. So I remember when Hurts first got in the league and they talked about, he'll never be an accurate thrower. There's no way they can win a Super Bowl with this guy because he just can't throw the pass. Peyton Manning's and stuff of the world. And then obviously they won a Super Bowl and they're one of the best teams in the league every year because he can rush and throw now. So the throwing usually comes later.
Right.
Quarterbacks.
Well, and speaking of Tom Brady, his now ex-wife, said they had a comment. My husband can't throw the ball catch at the same time. I think to a point, if you threw it at a certain height, I think you could run under. I think a quarterback could run under and catch it. Maybe possibly. What do you think?
If you threw it under a certain height,
threw it out. She said that my husband can't throw the ball and catch at the same time. Well, I think if you threw it just right, you probably could.
Yeah. If it was over a set distance, you're like, okay, you can't throw it 40 yards and catch it.
Well, no, but I'm just saying you just throw it
like this and bombed it, and then I'm sure you can.
And that's legal, isn't it?
In the same, in a play? Ooh, I don't think you're eligible receiver if you're the one that threw it. I think there'd be some illegal or ineligible receiver downfield type thing going on. But it would be pretty cool to see if that happened.
A quarterback catching his own throw.
All right. What's the last one?
The last one is
rest of the season.
Yep, rest of the season. I predict So bottom line, I predict. Well, there's somebody out there that was saying that Vikings could be 15-4 or whatever, something like that.
15-4. Oh, well, it'd be 15-2.
15-2, yeah. I maybe, or 13-4.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably more realistic. I think the Bears they're 4-6 now. You know,
Well,
two
they-
games that they should have won. I think they start to get their butt in gear and they go 500 the rest of the.
Well, I mean, I'm a Viking fan, but usually, coming off a loss, and coming off and then you're hungry when you win a game. You're hungry for more, but I think you're hungrier if you come off a loss.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Bears got the new offensive coordinator.
More fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I think they seem to always do this cycle where they get better at the end of the year, and that's normal for most teams, I guess. But they once they see that they're starting to fire people, they seem to get their butts in gear. So I say, how many games are left? It's week 12.
So 3. Yeah, it was 3. Vikings have 3 at home, then on the road, home, road. So yeah, so 3, 4, 5, 6 games left. Yeah, so
Okay.
we have 3 at home. Then after that we go on the road. Then we come back home, and then we're on the road.
Okay, 6 games left. I say the Bears split it 3-3, and I think they split the series with the Vikings. They win at home and they lose in December in the away game, and I think they got to play the Lions twice. So I think they lose both the games to the Lions, and they win the last game.
Yeah, one other thing, there are some people that were telling me that when the Bears, I mean, it's not often, but when the Bears do play the Vikings on Monday night, it's so mundane, so kind of like, oh, why are we doing this? You know, it sucks.
Sure.
How do you feel about that? I mean, how do you feel about Monday games in general? Do you like the Monday night games?
Yeah, I like the Monday night games. I don't work Monday night, so it's kind of nice. I get to actually watch it. So I don't think they should all have to be on Sunday necessarily. So,
Well, I mean,
I don't think the Bears have ever had any problems
Well-
showing up to play Monday.
right. Well, playoffs are like Saturdays and Sundays and stuff, and I think Fridays
Right.
sometimes too.
Yeah, and I could see a Saturday maybe throwing a team off because you're not used to mentally to being on and playing on a Saturday anymore.
Well, and this is also the time of year where times fluctuate because, like the Vikings, like on my birthday, the 3rd of November, we were supposed to play the Colts at noon, but it got switched to a 7:20 game.
Sure. Yeah, that happens too because when teams they didn't expect to be good are good, like the Vikings, they shipped you up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what my prediction was for the Vikings at the beginning of the year, and what your prediction was?
Yeah, my prediction was, I was saying like they should be like, I thought they
You said 12, right? 12 or 13.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So you're actually going to be way closer than I was because I said I was being generous and I said 7 wins,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm thinking more like 6. So they're just looking at the schedule, and that's probably closer to what the Bears are going to be this year. So, because they got 4 wins. I think the Bears will get at least 7 this year, and they got the hardest part of their schedule coming out. So
All right.
and
Yes,
you guys-
sir. Yeah, so I just think, well, bottom line is, final thoughts, is that, the Vikings, they've been playing, if not a little bit better, like kind of at the beginning of the year, where we were running circles. I say to every team, you can't go into every game and think, oh, this is going to be easy, it's going to be easy.
Right.
Even though you go against like a 2-4 team. I mean, look at what they some years ago, back on the day where the Eagles were like 10-1
yeah,
because the fact that a 2-3 team like the Redskins or whatever beat them.
right. Yeah, and that happens all the time, right? Because teams get complacent. So that's normal in the NFL. It's a everyday occurrence or every week occurrence almost. I guess my final thoughts is, the Bears, they're going to come ready to play in Chicago after getting embarrassed again
Yeah.
with freaking the evil Packers team over there.
Yeah, they pick out their evil.
So 11,
I agree with that
11
because I'm a Viking fan, and I'll agree with that one. Yeah.
So I think they're going to come out. I feel like the players really like the new offensive coordinator. Sometimes they get a few game kind of push of momentum just from switching things up and new staff or whatever. So I'm predicting the Bears come out with a victory. Close game, but victory.
All right. Well, I predict the opposite for the close, but opposite for the Vikings, of course. But
Okay, sounds good, buddy.
all right, sir.